The Sacramento Redevelopment Agency was created by the City Council of Sacramento in December of 1950. It was developed and created by that council for the purpose of taking advantage of federal laws and appropriations, enabling cities who so desired to clear slums and to redevelop areas that were depressed economically and socially. Now, the function of this agency is to establish broad policies and to reflect the needs and the desires of the community to the staff of our agency through an executive director who is appointed by the agency itself. Our position might be compared to a board of directors. This particular board, as I've said before, has served almost 9 years in the city of Sacramento and without compensation, except quite recently for a small per diem approved by the City Council. The present executive director, a well-trained man, is Mr. Jerome Lipp.
The financing of the Capitol Mall project represents an $11 million investment. This $11 million is in part $8.5 million for the acquisition of land and buildings. The balance of the $8.5 million is spent for the demolition of buildings, the installation of subsurface utilities, paying interest on our money, and miscellaneous expenses. We will recover from the sale of cleared land about $5 million, leaving us then with a deficit of $6 million. 2/3 of the $6 million, or $4 million, the federal government pays for with an outright grant to this agency, as long as we continue to conform to the requirements of the federal government and the Urban Renewal Administration. The balance of $2 million, or the local 1/3, this agency itself pays for by issuing its own bond issue. And this bond issue is secured only by the increase in tax revenue that will flow from this project area when the new buildings are in place. As new construction begins, the city and county receive taxes from the new construction to the same extent that they receive taxes from this project area before the project began. Of course, a great deal more tax revenue will flow from this project area, and when the city and county continue to receive the amount they received before we began, the increased amount is deposited into a special fund to retire our bonds. Depending upon the speed with which we move and the size of the buildings, this bond issue will then be paid off in a few years, and then all of the additional tax revenue will flow directly to the city and county treasury. This is why we say redevelopment more than pays for itself. I expect the Capitol Mall project to demonstrate to the people of this city and to other cities what can be accomplished through redevelopment.
tragedy is here that the Sacramento Redevelopment Agency never at any time has considered the historic landmarks in their redevelopment plans. I personally do not believe that it was the intent of Congress to appropriate taxpayers' money for freeway and redevelopment projects with the intent to destroy our cultural and historic heritage. In the West End was the birthplace of California's first stage-line theater, railroads, and the Transcontinental Railroad, and also the home of the western terminus of the famous Pony Express. Retail merchants all over the United States have become aware of the great value that historic landmarks have for the resurrection, you might say, for the downtown business district in their competition with the outlying shopping centers. And in Los Angeles, we have a very good example that the Los Angeles downtown businessmen in cooperation with the state of California and the city of Los Angeles are undertaking a tremendous restoration and historic preservation job.
John, the Historic Landmarks Commission has rather ambitious plans. Where do they expect to get the money to finance the project?
Well, Stan, getting money for anything of this sort is always a great big problem. Possibilities are through the medium of the California Division of Beaches and Parks, possibly some legislative action, and that has been suggested. Also, there is a possibility of getting some money from the city, from county, and it's even been suggested that a historical area zone be put into force at the proper timing. That in itself could raise some money.
The historic landmarks in its rebuilding conceivably might conflict with redevelopment and freeway plans, or not.
Well, that's true. There could be, and there very possibly will be, an overlapping. But it seems to many people in Sacramento that there is plenty of room for all of these things in the city of Sacramento, for the freeways and for the historic landmarks, the historic museum in the west end of the city of Sacramento, and certainly for redevelopment, that is the expansion of the Redevelopment Agency, which of course is going on right now.
Well, John, what plans, if any, are being taken into account right now, specific plans to take into consideration the problems of all three parties involved, the historic landmarks, the freeways, and redevelopment?
Well, all of these agencies, Stan, are working on this situation at the present time. They have not got together at this particular time because of the timing. But the Historic Landmarks Commission, the Historic Museum Committee, the Redevelopment Agency, of course, and the Division of Highways also have their plans. All of the respective agencies are working on it separately at the present time. But of course, you must remember, Stan, that the so-called Core Area Plan Committee and the Council Committee is also working on this, and very shortly there will be a core area consultant, outside consultant, that will get in on the entire picture, so that everything, I believe, should be and will be coordinated.
Yes, I think the most historic buildings should be preserved. I'd like to see them renovated a bit so it wouldn't spoil the appearance of the city. And I would like to see the city go ahead and develop as all big cities does. I do think it's important that we preserve some of our historic buildings.
Yes, I do believe the historical buildings in the West End, Sacramento should be preserved for the posterity of our children so that they will know the early history of California, which is a romantic state.
The best thing that can happen to Sacramento, make it a modern city to have all the old buildings torn down.
Well, I think it's a good idea that they're tearing most of them down, although it would be nice to leave some of them up, more the historical ones.
I think those historic buildings should stay, but if they tear them off, they should have a photograph of all those buildings to show the difference, the progress from human race made from the difference from the buildings and buildings. But you take the photograph from all those historic buildings.
I am for it and against it. I'm against it, of course, because there's so many people, they lost their business, been here for so many years. And I'm for it for the benefit of the city of Sacramento. The development is going to affect me, and I had a good business, but I'm planning to go and drive-in theater business.
So that you can adjust to your eyes. You can wear them with your glasses, or if you want to take your glasses off, you...
In my opinion, I have been helped by what has happened. May I point out the Redevelopment Agency has progressed greatly since its inception in 1949. Where there wasn't any amount allocated for moving costs for businessmen, today there is a maximum sum of $2,500 per business for this purpose, as has been secured, and there are hopes that this amount will be increased. The agency has also attempted to be of assistance to all the people of the area, residentials and businessmen alike, such as finding another location suitable for a labor market area, where we who are in the present area will be able to relocate ourselves with a minimum amount of effort.
Well, I think redeveloping is a wonderful thing. I think a lot of the buildings should be torn down and build new buildings. And I think it's okay myself. It's helped my business already considerably. So that's about all I can say. That in time, it takes time to tear all buildings down, get them built up. Takes about a matter of time. I think it's going to come out to be a really nice thing eventually.
I like the idea of redevelopment, and this is a need with a 20 years they done before. It's all hotel and all sockets and everything. This is a capital. Need with a clean. Why should be they going to start to build it up? And that is all wheat growing up now. And, it's my way. I can do it before and longer than that. But I don't know.
But now, I don't want to move, you know. I moved already one time. I don't want to move.
Redevelopment is a great thing, but we still think that the development should start at 2nd Street and Front Street and come toward us, toward 8th Street. We have noticed that we have made a lot of new friends, but lost a lot of friends, our old friends, by the move. And we've always been asked by lots of our people when the building is going to start, and we don't know how to answer them. But we do think that in the very short time that we will see some development, and we're glad that we're staying down where we were all raised in pharmacy, and hope to see that the redevelopment has a big asset to Sacramento.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu。ただいまから私は仏教とは何ぞやということについてしばらくの間お話をさせていただきたいと思います。仏教は天命介護ということを一番中心にしておるのであります。 それだけに天命介護ということは、すなわち迷いを転じて悟りを開くということであります。それがすなわち、仏教の一番根本思想になっております。
I don't believe that we should build a freeway inside east of the river in the downtown district through all the historical monuments we have there to preserve. The landing through there is too precious to be destroyed by a freeway winding its way along the river and through the city. There's lots of room for it on the west side of the river where it wouldn't affect that precious land that we have on this side for all our things that we need so much, like building more apartments, more historical buildings, and more hotels and so forth. On the other side of the river, the land is cheaper, and the freeway, with all its smog and dust and dirt, would be more adequate or better for the public then.
This old building up and tore down 100 years ago. I think the folks would find a place to live all over town here, yeah?
But I think they're tearing down the good buildings and leaving the bad ones to go. The ones I think should be torn down is on 2nd Street, mostly, and other places besides around 5th and K.
I think some people are on Skid Row and it's not their fault. They might have been trying to do something bigger than poor people they feel shouldn't do these big things such as write songs.
I'm glad that they're tearing down buildings and making a better place. And no slums should be here in America. It all should be a great America. And I don't want nobody to be laying out in the streets in the slums. I'm a Negro, but I'm speaking the truth. I want America to be what it really is, America. And America is truly wonderful to me.
Well, Dick, as things stand now, what plans are in the works to relocate the various segments of the population that are living in the West End?
Well, at the present moment, I can only refer back to the fact the agency had a study made of a plan for relocation of the Labor Market Center, Josh, and at that time they had a builder and developer in the community interested in it. I'm not at the moment up to just where that stands.
What do you think may possibly happen to these people down there?
Well, this is a good question, and it's probably one of the most difficult ones that the community has to face up to. I believe I'm right when I say that the problem of housing single male population is not being met at any level of government. That is, there is no funds available in state, federal, county, or city monies to build housing for the single male population. It seems to me if the market is there for housing of these people, then we would think that properly that private enterprise would see this market and would build the housing for them. Whether this happens or not is really the crux of this whole question, as I see it.
Well, suppose this doesn't happen and redevelopment continues as it is, and
well, if this, if there is no interest in private, let's say private enterprise to come into this picture, then I would think that this is a problem statewide, national even. There has to be some new legislation available. In fact, I believe this report touches upon that. You'll have to have legislation to set up funds to house these people. As far as I know, there has been no, at this date, there has been no concrete proposal made by any group to house these individuals.
The redevelopment in Sacramento has had a very fine effect, particularly in regards to crime, health, and fire protection. There's no doubt that with redevelopment, we will have a reduction in the incidence of crime in the entire city of Sacramento. Definitely, fire tragedies will be eliminated, and the city will have a great benefit from this wonderful project. For years, the city has been concerned about the health, the incidence of tuberculosis in this particular area. And we have no doubt, health authorities have told us, and we agree with them, that with this great redevelopment project, we will reduce substantially the incidence of tuberculosis in the area. Overall, it's very reasonable to think that the people of Sacramento will be more than repaid by redevelopment. Thank you.
Jack, what is the Core Area Study Committee?
Well, it's a committee of citizens that the council has selected to determine community values, and the committee has decided to hire a consultant to consider these values.
Then that is what the committee actually consists of.
Yes.
Who is the committee directly responsible to?
Responsible to the council, appointed by the council and responsible to the council.
How long will it be before this core area report is completed, and then what?
Well, the reports in San Jose and Fresno took from 8 to 11 months, and we hope that ours will be somewhere in that period, say 9 months, to complete the entire report.
Then what?
Well, I think that the report should be adopted at that time, and the findings put into the freeway plan or our land use plan in downtown Sacramento, our core area.
Well, now, if this core area group is directly responsible to the city council, and they in turn will have to enter into a contractual agreement with the Department of Public Works,
right,
isn't it conceivable that freeways could be held up until the study is completed?
Well, conceivably, yes, but it's one of the early conclusions we're going to ask the consultant is to determine freeway routes so that we won't be in a position of holding up the state.
Well, if freeways are held up, doesn't this mean that redevelopment might suffer some delay also?
Well, we don't think it'll be that long, and the amount of activity in the Redevelopment Agency, I think they're more, the developers are more interested in the proposal that we're in motion determining these routes. And I can't see where it'd be a great conflict of redevelopment at all. If we keep to our timetable, and time is of the essence in this report, so I can't see that it'd hold up redevelopment efficiently at all.
Currently in the process of converting a slum and blighted area into a valuable new integral part of our downtown. In the background, you can see construction underway on this $6.5 million office building. Across the street, the first section of what will be several hundred new apartments is well advanced. Negotiations are underway and architectural studies are also well advanced for other major developments. Redevelopment entails to us more than the mere clearance and the replacement of old, depreciated buildings with new structures. Office buildings, banks, several hundred apartment units, and several square blocks will be devoted to a new commercial area. By effective planning, making all of these investments an integral part of an overall comprehensive development, we are going to have a much finer Sacramento and capital city. We are fortunate in having available to us some of the leading architectural talents of the nation, all devoted to the objective of providing a healthier and sounder base for our future and healthier growth.
Well, friends here on the street, I've been a drugged here for quite a little while. I know places right here on the street which are tearing down. And right today, when they tear them down, where will the bum go? But what I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, they've torn down a lot of places up here where I say, like us guys used to go. Now we can't go anymore.